A naked machete-wielding Florida man attacked some mailboxes. A machete-wielding Florida man vandalized a mosque. A Florida woman brought 2 machetes to an axe-throwing bar. And a machete-wielding Florida man is accused of threatening pickleballers. These are the weird stories for Friday on Weird AF News. They are all from Florida. They all involve a machete. It's the Florida Man Machete episode on Weird AF News. A naked machete-wielding Florida man attacks mailboxes in South Florida. At this point, you don't even need to put naked in the title. We know, dude. We know. You can tell a Florida man by the way he is not dressed. We have a Florida man in Southwest Florida accused of vandalizing mailboxes for some reason. And for some reason, he was naked while doing it. This gentleman's name is Yudia Duenas Sosa. He's 36 years old. He was arrested after somebody reported a naked man destroying mailboxes with a machete. Not something you expect to see every day. On this episode of Morons vs. Things, we have Florida Man versus mailboxes. Let's not make prejudgments. Let's find out what exactly these mailboxes did to deserve this. Oh, what did them mailboxes do? They must have done something. Them mailboxes had it coming. They had it coming. Okay, so it turns out the Florida man was at a party in the area. It was a Saturday. He was highly intoxicated. The officers apprehended him without incident. However, while they were arresting Duenas Sosa, the mailbox destructor, his cousin charged at the officers in an attempt to prevent the arrest. The police say that both of them were extremely intoxicated. At this point in the segment, it's probably appropriate to play everybody's favorite Florida game show, Name That Chemical. Let me keep reading and find out what kind of party favors they had over there at the old Saturday barbecue. All right, I got to the end of the article here, and there's really nothing about what they were on, but clearly with a no-clothes situation, there's probably meth. And still, there's no motive for the destruction of the mailboxes outside of the presumed meth. Maybe this guy was just trying to save everybody from bills, you know what I mean? Let's look at it this way. He's not pro-property destruction. He's anti-bill. He's out there in the world trying to save us all from those unsavory pieces of mail that we get every week called bills. And in that sense, this Florida man's a bit of a hero, in a way. A machete-wielding Florida man wrecked a mosque and left behind bacon. I think they forgot the naked part. Let's find out if he's naked. Police in Central Florida are on the hunt for a man who they say vandalized a mosque with a machete and left bacon at the front doorstep. So no naked? Very surprised. That's Florida Man 101. Now, class, when wielding a machete in public, what do you wear? Not a thing. Bingo, not a thing. For the purposes of this story, I'll just call him the non-naked machete-wielding Florida man because it's so rare. The unidentified, non-naked, machete-wielding Florida man was caught on surveillance footage breaking into the Islamic Society of Central Florida. This took place on a Friday night. The Titusville Police Department got involved. Titusville. The Titusville Police. I've come across Titusville on my many Florida Friday episodes. They say the Florida man whipped out a machete from a bag and used it to shatter several windows, lights, and cameras. He also, get this, he left 3 pounds of bacon at the door. I think the real crime here is wasting all of this bacon. This is some dedicated vandalism. 3 pounds of bacon is not cheap right now, all right? This guy invested in his act of vandalism. Probably used food stamps to buy the bacon just to leave it there. He didn't even have to use real bacon. He could have used any part of a pig to get his point across, like the snouts, or he could have just spray painted a pig face on the door of the mosque and saved himself a bunch of money. Now, in case you've been living under a rock, Muslims are prohibited from consuming any pork products. It's part of their dogma. You know, these religions have dogma. And dogma usually is it's some sort of outdated behavior that they hang on to for some reason to make your life miserable. So in this instance, they're not allowed to have pork, and apparently not allowed to look at a woman's nose in public either. That seems to be part of the dogma. That also makes no sense. Authorities are calling this a hate crime, sadly, because it involves the religion here. Now, I must say, I'm very impressed with this xenophobic Florida man who actually learned something about Islam, learned about the bacon, that bacon's their kryptonite. This guy actually Googled it and looked up, how can I make an impact? How do I anger them? This is proof that Florida men can actually use a smartphone prior to vandalizing, which is impressive. Now, sadly, this is probably the only thing that the Florida man knows about Islam. And it's still a little misguided as well, because they actually can look at pork and they can even handle and touch pork products. They can't eat it. So, I guess if he was really trying to put his point across, he would force feed this pork to members of the mosque. Thankfully, he didn't do that insane activity. The article says that this incident is just one of the latest in a string of attacks on mosques nationwide. In Philadelphia recently, a severed pig's head was left outside. So people are just expressing their hate, as they tend to do. It's funny how context is everything, because if you left bacon at my front door, I would categorize that as an act of love. A Florida woman brought her machetes to an axe-throwing bar. That sounds like cheating to me. Let's learn a little bit about this incident where we have a woman bringing machetes into an axe-throwing bar. They already have weapons there, honey, if you're looking to carve up some people. Perhaps she doesn't know how an axe-throwing bar works. This story is out of St. Petersburg. It says, one cannot bring their own beer to a bar. Turns out one also cannot bring their own machetes to an axe-throwing bar. By the way, are you all familiar with an axe-throwing bar? It's kind of this ridiculous phenomenon that we have here in the United States. I don't know who came up with this cockamamie idea, but somebody out there said, you know what we should combine booze with? Axes. Axes that we throw while we drink the booze. I can't see where this could possibly go wrong, right? Let's get back into the story where this Florida woman tried to cheat at axe throwing by bringing extra blades to the scene. She's 54 years old. They say she's a transient. She was brandishing a machete in each hand when she showed up at the St. Pete Axe and Ale at 7:30 p.m. She started scraping the blades together and told the crowd, quote, I've killed over 100 people with these machetes. That was my impression of 54-year-old Victoria Morley, the transient that really enjoys blades. Morley also goes by Cheryl Bowla. I guess, well, if you're a transient, you got to have multiple names, it would seem, to get around. She also threatened that she was going to kill the manager of the bar if she were followed out of the bar. So a lot going on here. She's making demands. It says here she was intoxicated and that there was most likely alcohol involved in all of this. It doesn't say what her motive was and what she was really after by bringing those machetes into the bar. Was she looking for somebody? Maybe she's just showing off her advanced hunter skills. Now, this bar that we have here is the only axe-throwing bar in the area. St. Pete Axe and Ale. They have some clear rules here. Patrons, for one, cannot bring their own bladed weapons. Yeah. So you can't even bring your own axe, in case you were wondering. Maybe you have a favorite axe that you'd like to throw in your backyard after a few rips of the old bongaroo. Regardless, you can't bring your own bladed weapon to St. Pete Axe and Ale, which they invite customers, according to their website, to drink while hurling an axe about 20 feet downrange at a 2 by 10 foot wooden board on their patio. I think the real miracle here is that anyone would even insure this place. I mean, right? You're going to approach an insurance company. So what goes on at your bar? Anything extracurricular? Yeah. Very heavy axes with sharp blades are thrown around in between pints of the strongest IPA that we offer in the South Florida area. Yeah, I don't think we can give you coverage on that. Now, in case you're wondering what happened to our old friend Victoria Morley, the Florida lady, it says here that she pleaded no contest to disorderly conduct charge, and she was freed the next day. So that's nice to know she's back out there. If you happen to be attending a dart tournament in that area, watch out for Victoria, who might show up with 2 giant spears. Bullseye! A machete-wielding Florida man threatens pickleball players. A Florida man, who is also a maintenance man, who was also wielding a machete. Let's find out if he had clothes on or not. He had to be led away, nonetheless, from a Naples area pickleball court in handcuffs after the deputies say he threatened these lovely pickleball players with his machete, which he was wielding like a sword. Oh, I wonder if there's some video of this. I would love to see Floridaman's machete-wielding skills. This is the 4th machete-wielding story that I've done, and there's no video provided on any of them so that I can see Floridaman's machete-wielding skills. I just assume they're amazing at it. They've probably been watching some machete-wielding YouTube tutorial videos, I'd imagine. I would before I go out in the world, especially if I'm doing a double machete move like the lady in the last story at the Axe Bar. You know, you got to work that out in your backyard for a few hours, get it ready so that you can, get the skills down. I figure with 2 of them at the same time, there's a good chance you might cut a knuckle or something, You can imagine. The knuckle is where you're going to cut, right? Of course. Okay, so we have some court documents that say 4 men were playing late-night pickleball. Just having a nice time. Pickleball is all the rage now, guys. It's everywhere. Every neighborhood seems to have a pickleball court. They were approached by Floridaman Joseph DeValley, age 53, who is a maintenance worker. These athletes, in quotes, athletes, said that Floridaman DeValley yelled at them to leave while kicking tables, pushing chairs. They claim that the Florida man left to go to his car, returned with a machete, and told the victims that he would beat their bleep, which is allegedly when they cleared the court. That's when we decided to clear the court, when he threatened to beat our bleep. I'm going to say it's their arse that's being censored in this particular story. Now, I think we need more information. What time was the pickleball happening? Because, some of these pickleballers, crack ass of dawn, they're out there, 6 a.m., because a lot of them are 80 years old, and this is the time they get up. They're out there, 6 a.m., all noisy, 6 a.m. Those sound effects from the pickleball court are quite annoying. I'm okay during the day and at night, but a very early morning pickleball extravaganza, I'm not a fan of. So I'm not saying what the Florida man did was right. I'm just saying, I need more information. Now, the Florida man here has a different story, of course. He told the deputies he was actually the one who was threatened by these pickleballers. He said these men told him to make them leave, which prompted him to grab the machete and defend himself, him being, quote, macho man that he is. He claims, okay, that's not helping your case here, buddy. He claimed he did not chase them with the machete, only that they saw him with it as they drove away. Now, also not helping our Florida man's case is the deputies claim at the time he smelled strongly of alcohol. He is facing some charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill, though, so that's lovely. I wish this article had some clue to what the motivation was for this guy. Maybe he's a tennis traditionalist, and he sees pickleball as a threat to the sport. He's probably like, they're taking over our courts, which they sort of are. They're taking over the tennis courts. They put their own lines in, which sometimes are permanent. So now when you eventually go to play tennis on the tennis court, by the way, originally tennis court, now you have all these extra white lines everywhere that could cause some confusion when you're trying to play the sport of tennis, which has different rules from pickleball. And I mean, if we're being honest, too, the name pickleball is just stupid. It's just a stupid name. Could you not come up with something better than pickleball? I mean, from what I can see, and I've played it, there's nothing to do with pickles. There's no pickles anywhere that I saw. The ball is like yellow. I guess maybe you could construe that as being sort of pickle related. No one was sharing pickles when I played. They weren't passing out pickles. No one was eating pickles. There was no picklebacks being drank. I mean, I love pickleback shots, by the way. Some Jameson and pickle juice. Ooh, 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 all day long. But then at that point, I'm not playing pickleball anymore. I'm officially switching gears to a new sport, a pickleback sport. Well, that's the end of the article here, the end of our lovely Floridaman pickleball story. Only in Florida would pickleball turn into a full contact sport. Anyways, our man was arrested and no doubt was let out the very next day, where he could, I guess you would call it, reunite with his machete for some public displays of affection.
Let's rock.
Gators on as he storms the swamp, stealing boats just to take a roam. Margarita splashes in his eyes, chewing on oranges while he flies. Florida man with a crazy grin, drugs and booze giving him a spin. Machete race cause it's his game, chaos reigns, yeah he feels no shame. Florida heat messing with his mind, machete sharp under that sunshine. Drunk and high on a wild spree, watch him laugh as he swings with glee. Dancing wild in the Everglades, mushrooms glow making trippy shades. Sheriff chasing but he's too sly, dodging cops with the rebels cry. Shots and bars in disarray, alligator pet in bold display. Headlines screaming his wild affair, everyone wonders who'd really dare. Florida heat messing with his mind, machete sharp under that sunshine. Drunk and high on a wild spree, watch him laugh as he swings with glee.
Well, thank you, my lovely listeners, my dedicated friends of the show, for spending this Florida Friday episode with me. It was a very special themed show, all about machete-wielding Florida men, clothing optional. I want to give a shout out to Lisa, who gave me the idea for this after I covered a story last week on Florida Friday about somebody wielding a machete. She brought it to my attention that a lot of Florida men like to wield machetes, which I just never really realized that. And of course, she was absolutely right. And she thought, you should do a whole episode. And I said, you know what? Maybe I will do a whole episode about machete-wielding Florida men. Thought it would be fun. And I hope you enjoyed the song that I created about just a Florida man that loves his tool and making use of it to get ahead in the world. Again, that song was made with the lovely AI program that I occasionally turn on when I feel inspired to make a Weird AF News themed hit. I guess could you call it a hit? It doesn't have that many listens on YouTube, I've noticed, but maybe one day I'll go platinum. Anyways, allow me to give some more thanks to those of you who bought some merch from the Weird AF News merch store. Someone bought a mug and someone bought a t-shirt so far. It's pretty cool. If you guys would like some Weird AF News swag, go to weirdafnews.merchmake.com. Merchmake is one word, MERCHMAKE.com. Or just click on the link in the description of this podcast if you want some pretty cool Weird AF News merch. And then you get to, show the world your loyalty to me in the podcast. Showing your loyalty to me in the podcast. I think that's a great way to spend your time. Yeah, wear it to parties. Wear it to court, Wear your Weird AFT to court. Let those jurors know where they can spend their downtime, listening to Weird AF News. Anyways, I hope you have a lovely weekend. I'm up in the Bay doing shows. Go to my Instagram if you want to see where, and please show up. Introduce yourself. Say hello. We'll take a selfie. We'll do a shot. We'll do some picklebacks. Let's do some picklebacks. I'm so into them. My Instagram's @funnyjones. If you would like to stalk me. If you want to email me anything, it's funnyjones@gmail.com. The phone number is 646-450-2012. And the website is weirdafnews.com. That's the place to go to support the show if you want to buy me a coffee to keep me caffeinated while I record it in a hot closet. Or if you would like to join the Patreon, which is a great way to support Weird AF News. And you get a lot of extra bonus materials that way as well. So check that out, and good luck with your life, man.